Hello, how are you? I'm Olivia. I'm a singer and a songwriter and a teacher, and I am working through the artist's way. I have been sort of blocked creatively and really struggled with being creative and doing creative things, interacting with art. And so I'm working through the artist's way, and I just finished week 6, which is called Recovering a Sense of Abundance. So I wanted to go through, we're going to talk a little bit about the chapter, and then I'm going to talk about some of my reflections. This chapter, Recovering a Sense of Abundance, is largely about money and our attitudes about money and creativity. Basically, the author talks about how many of us equate creativity with kind of being frivolous and hard work that you don't really like with being the way to make money. And it's basically trying to get you to expand your ideas of what could be a money-making pursuit. She says that many of us equate difficulty with virtue and art with just fooling around. So if it's difficult and draining you and you're making money, like that's working hard and that's the way to do it. And if it's easy and fun, then that's not really something that can make you any money. Like, why are you trying to do that? She gives as an example that a talent for painting, if it comes easily and seems compatible with you, for example, it's not to be taken seriously, and it's not to be, something that will get you anywhere in life. So if it's easy and fun, then why are you doing it? So it's kind of like the opposite of what you really want. And she talks about being, quote unquote, sensible, or how that really can be staying stuck in something even if you don't want to, for the security or for the paycheck. And she says that creativity is not sensible. So why should you be? So I think, of course, there's something to that life is not sensible. Creativity is not sensible. There's so many things in the world that have been created from some seed of an idea of somebody that has turned into money-making ventures. But obviously, there's some nuance there. You can't just quit your 9-to-5 or whatever job you have to follow every whim that you have, of course. But I think that just staying open to the possibility that the things that you like to do could make you money is a really good thing. Because I think for me, I was stuck for many, many years. I was waitressing after college, and I was stuck in this loop because it paid decent. It paid more than I would make at any other entry-level job doing any other thing. And it was kind of fun. There's a bunch of other young people doing it, and I'm very chatty, and so I liked that aspect of it. And I liked the flexibility of it. There's a lot of things about it that I liked, waiting tables. So it was really hard for me to let go of that sensible job, to move towards something that felt more meaningful to me because of that financial situation. So that was really tough for me, but eventually I did do that. She says, which is nice to hear in this book, that what we really want to do is what we're meant to do. And when we do what we're meant to do, money can come to us, doors can open for us, and we can feel useful. And the work that we do can feel like play. So I think that is true. I don't think it's, I don't know if it's true for absolutely everyone, but I think that staying open to the possibility, if creativity is the thing that you want to make you money. For some people, it's like, no, I want my job to be separate. I want to go do my job, and then I want to go be creative. And the way it's fun for me is that I don't make any money from it, or. So I think that that's something to remember with this too, because I think that that's something I'm working through right now as well, because my creative life has been tied to making money, but not necessarily in all the ways that I want it to be. And I'm working on finding creativity in some ways in the way that I make money, but also in some ways that is just for me, that is not a money-making venture. So yeah, I think that she kind of comes back to this idea that, this belief system that we have. Do you think that money comes from drudgery, or can it come from creativity? So I think maybe some of that too is wrapped up in maybe the messages that you got when you were a kid for what is sensible. If you wanted to get go be an artist and your parents said, go be an accountant, and that's the end of it for you, maybe that gave you a certain message about money and about career and about what's important and how you can make money. So I think it's just good to be sort of open. I saw a video of an artist recently who was talking about his relationship with his parents. His dad was an artist, and then he just had no problem just trusting the fact that he could make a living as an artist. There was no sort of fear around being an artist and where the money was going to come from. And I think that that's where it comes from for a lot of parents, is this fear that their child isn't going to have enough or live a life where they can support themselves. But I think also we live in the society where money is sort of the thing, the focus. You better have enough money so that you can enjoy your life. I mean, money gives you freedom. Money gives you a lot of things, but it doesn't necessarily give you happiness. And I think the next section of this chapter, she talks about luxury. And I think that is really interesting and important. That luxury, not in the sense of you get to go on a yacht every day, but she talks about pampering yourself or, taking care of yourself often, every day, doing something that brings you a sense of abundance. One of the examples that she shares is about a student of hers who raspberries were her luxury, that their berries are always expensive, but that those feel luxurious and you can really enjoy them. And that is actually something that I luxuriate in. And it took me a long time. It's just been, a few months that I've been able to be yes, you can buy yourself berries every week, because it makes my breakfast. I eat oatmeal every morning, and it makes my breakfast so much more joyful. And I feel I really love my breakfast every day. So that's kind of a small luxury that I give myself most days. But that could be anything, So when you give yourself, she talks about giving yourself these small gifts, these small luxury gifts, that you might be open to larger gifts that the universe or whatever has to offer you, that you might say yeah, I'm going to try this new thing, or open myself up to this new thing, or this new thing presented itself, so I'm going to go for it, rather than, no, I'm not worthy of trying that, or, whatever. Really say, yeah, I'm worth these small luxuries. So a couple other things that I have, gotten into in terms of luxury. One is stationery. I have been buying these expensive notebooks that, quite frankly, have been bringing me so much joy, and some art supplies. So some watercolors, some pens that are really nice, pretty cheap, but definitely nicer than just, whatever pen. And I also have been giving myself more in terms of the luxury of time, that I've been able to let myself, spend some more time reading, spend some more time in my notebooks, spend time just for the sake of, not necessarily a productive time, but time to enjoy and learn and, do some art for myself. One of the tasks she asks you to do this week is start doing a budget. And that's something that I have avoided for so long, but I actually recently started it a few months ago, just basically writing down everything I'm spending, and then also writing down everything that comes in every month, because every month is a little different for me. I don't have a regular paycheck. That's been really interesting for me. I did do a January no buy, and I didn't buy anything that wasn't basically a necessity. So basically food and bills. And it was really great. It was really good to have the accountability of writing things down. And then it was also really good for me to get out of the habit of just buying things when I have the impulse to. And so I'm not necessarily on a complete no buy, but moving forward here in February and stuff, but I think I'm definitely going to try to implement that a little bit more. Just that idea of like not doing the knee-jerk purchasing of things and thinking about what am I going to purchase next. But it's really good, I think, to write things down and really see. I think I was always sort of scared of it, but I have a little system in one of my planners that's been really helpful for me and definitely eye-opening. I think whenever you write something down, it's like, it's less scary. Like, even if it's like even if you see like, oh yeah, I'm really spending too much or whatever, it's like getting something out of your mind. I feel like it's always worse in your mind when it's floating around and you don't actually know what's happening. It's always better to know, I think most of the time, to figure out how you can move forward rather than just panicking and like letting it circle in your brain. So anyway, that's been really helpful for me. And I think will teach me a lot about my finances, but also just teach me more about my relationship with money and my relationship with buying things without thinking about it. Because I think that's a big part of our society, is just purchasing things. And it's important to remember, it's important for me to remember that just purchasing something is not going to make me happy, even though it might seem like it in the moment. One thing I do want to do more with my money is to invest in things that are going to fill me up in terms of creativity. So going out to hear music, going out to see plays. There's like a journaling workshop that I want to go to, going to classes relevant to creativity in whatever capacity, or going to art museums. I've decided to set aside some money in my budget for that, to really, be like, you should be spending this money on something that, having experiences that feed my creativity. So that's something I definitely want to invest actually more in. So for my check-in this week, checking in about all these different tasks and things. I did my morning pages every day. I'm still doing my 3 pages of stream of consciousness writing every morning. For my artist date this week, I took a morning and I just kind of did what I wanted. So I finished this book on creativity that I got from the library. It's called Syllabus by Linda Berry, Notes from an Accidental Professor. And I saw somebody on YouTube that was talking about it. And it's really cool. It's just it looks like it's in a composition notebook, and it's really all about being in a composition notebook. So Linda Berry is a teacher. Well, she's a cartoonist, and she teaches at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, I believe. And she's got University of Wisconsin-Madison in the art department. And so she teaches this class where she basically has all these journaling exercises and things for sort of creativity, but this practice of using a notebook. And so it's a really cool book, but it's just kind of like, it's got a ton of doodles, her own doodles. And then also she's got some examples of some of her students' artwork. And these are not like art students that are in her class. They're people from all different areas that go to University of Wisconsin. But I think it's first of all, it's really fun to read. It's just fun to look at. I, got through it in a couple sessions, 2 or 3 times. And, I've always enjoyed comics. Like, I love Calvin and Hobbes. I grew up reading those. My brother was big into comics. And so Calvin and Hobbes, I love. And so this book isn't like about comics. One thing I love about comics is like, it's things can be goofy. You don't have to take yourself too seriously. Like, I don't know. It's fun. So I'm gonna hopefully be using some of these exercises in my general like journaling practices. So I'd recommend this book to you if you're interested. So I finished that book, and then I have been studying this book that, it's a history book called The History of Western Music. And, so I did a little studying in that book. And then the third thing I did on my artist date was I went and got a couple of magazines. And I've been thinking about doing some collaging in my journals too, which I've never really gotten into, but I've like keep thinking like, where's the cheapest place to buy magazines? You basically, I don't know. You can get like stuff on Etsy or whatever, but each of these magazines was like $8. But you know what? Money well spent, because I've been thinking about it. So I didn't actually do the collaging, but that's on my to-do list for this week. But it was fun to go pick out some magazines that I liked some of the images. So it was kind of a big artist date this week. I did a lot of stuff in one day. I would say overall it was a good week. I was fairly productive. I would say I'm still, I have a hard time. I use a planner, and I'm always trying to organize things like in a nice way, in a way where I don't get overwhelmed, but I oftentimes struggle with feeling a lot of overwhelm, like I'm not doing enough, I'm not getting enough done. And so I'm always kind of working on the system of what's going to make me feel less overwhelmed. So I think I'm trying to strike that balance of finding, a to-do list and system that works for me, that makes me feel like, okay, I was productive, I got enough done, and I've got time. I'm making enough time for my creativity and whatever else I'm doing. So this week was better in terms of the balance perhaps, but I think it's still something, I think it's just going to be an ongoing thing, an ongoing battle for me. But overall, it was a good week. Next week, week 7, is called Recovering a Sense of Connection. So I'm looking forward to reading that and getting into it. But thanks a lot for watching. Let me know if you have any takeaways or if you're doing the artist's way. I'd love to hear from you. But thanks so much for hanging out, and I'll see you in the next one.